Welcome everybody, this is the Thefanpubcast episode 8. Welcome Sean, how are you?
I'm really good and glad to be back, and wow, just round the corner now, all the drafts are just starting and our own live leagues are just about to unfold. Isn't it going to be exciting?
Yeah, I mean training camp's just about to start, so we're really finding out what's going on at all these...
A lot of rumours floating out of training camps, a lot of things that, you know, where you think a certain player's going to be, all those either illusions are going to be dispelled or actually you're going to be proved to be correct. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all pans out. I look forward to what news you've got for us, Alan, this week.
Okay, well, before we get into the news... Well, I'll tell you what we've got coming up on the show. We've obviously got the news that's coming out of all the teams at the moment. We've got ADP risers and fallers, so we'll talk about that.
Yeah, that should be popular.
You've got cut, trade, keep. And you want to give a couple of shout-outs, don't you? Before,
yes, I do. But I think... So I've secretly hidden them away in my book, but here they are. We're going to talk about the... This is from Robbie Menzies, who's asked us to give a big shout-out for the West Lothian Chargers flag American football team. Good shout-out for them. The Midlothian Sabres by Gavin Gibson. That's another great Scottish team up there. Aylesbury Vale Spartans... who won the Sec North for the first time by Ryan Peacock. Congratulations to them. That's the big shout-outs for this week, Alan, and I'll make sure that each one of those teams get this podcast to share with their friends and family. And that reminds us, please do comment, like, share and subscribe. It's really important to us that you keep doing that, and if you want to shout out, just let us know.
Also, we've got to give a shout-out to one of our leagues. If you want to take... Sean and myself on in a fantasy league. There's one going on in Southampton on September the 2nd, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And it's the great thing about these live leagues, this is why we can really talk about them, and this is the original one, this is the one that got us all together, is when places like this come up, they're really rare. They're like rocking horse, aren't they? Rocking horse poo. They really are hard to get.
It's just meeting likewise. It's such a fun day. It's meeting likewise people. You know, you make good friends.
It's a brilliant day, and for those who might be near the area or close by, even if you're not sure, the thing is that's great, we've got people coming from all over the UK, so even if you're not quite sure, there's bound to be somebody
from all over the world, really.
You're bound to have somebody driving through your area. I'm sure that we can organise and help people get down there. If that's your concern, I'm sure we can get around it. So don't worry about those things. All our details to these leagues is on the Discord site. Alan will always put in the links, how to find it, and if in doubt, just leave a message and we'll get in touch with you.
But the sign-up page with more details on the thefanpub.com as well. So, well, let's get into the news.
Yeah.
Mike Williams was out with season-ending back surgery, and now he denies reports. So it seems to be fake news. What?
There's not really much you can say. I mean, when a player's denying the fact that they need back surgery, there can only really be one or two reasons for this. One, that he kind of doesn't want to let the team down, maybe. But really, ultimately, if you need back surgery, you need back surgery. There's no answer to it.
But he's saying he doesn't. That's what he's saying. He doesn't know whether.
I guess he's hoping that he ends up on a PUP list. So at least he'll be able to come back.
He's hoping he's all right. But
yeah, I guess that's the key. But I think what will happen is, if he's lucky, he'll be put on the PUP list and then may have a chance to come back during the season. At this moment in time, as you may know, for those that have been listening into the podcast show, we are really getting quite good at this. There are certain players we put on our deep sleepers, there are certain players that don't make it in. Mike Williams was none of them. And there are a few reasons why he never made any of my list. Yes, I respect the talent, and yes, I think his career, dynasty-wise, will be very good in the long term. But for this year, he wasn't on anything I've discussed. There's a few reasons. I had a few concerns about him having a niggle. I didn't know exactly what it was. It was rumours, whispers. But this is confirmed that it was a more serious back injury of some kind. Now, whether he needs surgery or not, I can't really speculate on that.
It's still not great news.
It's not great news. He's missed a lot of camp. So his impact on this season already looked minimal anyway. Now it looks minor at best.
And the LA Chargers got a deep receiving core.
Very deep. So they can afford to take their time, marinate him along in the background, and then see how it pans out for next season. Maybe bring him in late season. We'll see how it pans out.
Okay, ESPN's John Kine projects Rod Kelly to open the year as starting RB. I mean, it's not really big news, but it's still saying they think he'll be number one.
It fits in with what we've said. It fits in exactly the way we think it would play out. I mean, we expect Rod Kelly to start the year off. He deserves the right to be perfectly honest with you.
He's a good, honest pro, isn't he? He doesn't do anything spectacular, but
the thing was, the guy broke him as an undrafted free agent to take over the backfield from Matt Jones. That's not easy to do. We know that Rob Kelly is not the most exciting back to watch, but I will say this: I've got a lot of time for players who put in a decent effort, not only in training, on the field, and sometimes just by being, as you say, better than average and giving a steady day. Yeah, it would love to have big David Johnson being able to have it out of all the time, but they're rare. They're the elite. They're the 1% of the 1% kind of guys. Rob Kelly's a great pro. And he goes in and gives you an honest day's work. And you know what? He at least deserves the right to show if all the off-season conditioning has worked out for him, if he's put in the right weight training and various other regimes that these guys go into, if they're really serious about their career, 'cause some aren't as serious as others because the off-season trouble they get into. This guy's one of those who's taking it deadly serious. He knows how important this year is to him, and he's going into camp looking in great conditions. So he deserves a chance to see what happens.
So how do you see it long term with Pirine and coming in?
Truth of the matter is that probably Rob Kelly will be beaten out by Pirine, as I said, roughly before mid-season.
He's a superior talent.
He is just better, and as much as
But it could be a committee as well.
It could be a committee. For Rob Kelly's sake, what I hope happens is he has a really good showing, even if the other guy is really great. So that there is more career out there for somewhere he can get a job, because I like him. He's one of them players like Case Keenum. I want him to do well. I want him to get picked up somewhere, and he deserves that. And I hope I hope he at least that's what happens. And maybe he keeps his job, and we don't even give Pirine another fall. Maybe Rob Kelly comes in the best shape of his life. Something really clicks, and the guy just shows you that actually he's better than everybody thought. Great, I'm really pleased for him. But I do think this is one of those situations where the rookie takes over eventually this season, to be honest with you. So we'll see.
Matt Jones?
After fault.
He's more of a bad juggler than a running back.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, too many fumbles for the NFL. I mean, that's the problem. They won't tolerate it in the NFL. You know, you can have 1 or 2 or 3 over a season. You have 3 or 4 in a quick succession, and people start asking questions.
Yeah, he started costing teams matches.
You know how big the turnover ratio is if you are losing the ratio battle, how important that is to winning a game. So the odds are against you if you start turning the ball over.
Okay, well, we talked. Carson Palmer feels he has more zip and velocity this year, so he's recovering.
I did read that. That's fascinating, and the answer is no.
Well, at least he's being honest with himself. He felt last year he wasn't, with the thumb in.
Well, it's nice that it confirms what we saw on tape. I mean, maybe he can turn it around, but I'll be honest. It's just I don't care how elite somebody is. As you get older, you lose. You do lose, no matter how great you are. The mechanics will help you get away with, so much in terms of lost velocity, your mechanics, your positioning, how you step up into a throw. All those things will help with a little bit of the loss of velocity. But as you get older, as you approach 40, crikey, you lose yards. That's what happens. Your strength isn't there anymore. It doesn't matter how hard you try. And if you force it, the ball comes out like what I call a duck egg. You can see that great throws. I mean, some quarterbacks can get away with power. The spiral isn't as important. But when you're talking about as you get older, the spiral is more important actually, because it helps, like a bullet, it helps that trajectory to go further, really. And that's what you want. You want a great spiral, great mechanics, because that can prolong.
So they've got lots of deep targets like John Brown and JJ Nelson.
They do.
Deron Brown as well.
I have concerns that the loss of velocity that was there last year will still be there this year. No matter how much he says he's improved on.
I think it'll be lots of short passes to
I
Johnson.
think it has to. I think it has to be, and I think as much no matter how good the early season form is. You could see what was happening after the season. I mean, I had to keep looking back over the tape. I mean, I kept thinking about Fitzgerald in this situation. I kept thinking, why was his second half form over the last 2 years poorer? Why was it poorer? Because he didn't. It wasn't like he was injured. It wasn't like he played badly. It wasn't. He didn't do anything different really. And it wasn't so much him. It was Carson Palmer. Carson Palmer struggled to get those throws down the field as the season wore on, and that's actually the key here. So I think even if Palmer's early form is good, I just think you'll see a struggle as we go in 8 games, 9 games in. So I think it's more Palmer over Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald is older, obviously, and struggles a bit with, you wouldn't expect him to run those deep routes. But what he is doing is brilliant over the middle. I mean, what Fitzgerald is doing, he's got the best route running I've ever seen of any great receivers. He's one of the best. And he can make people, he turns on a dime still. He gets a half a yard. That's all he needs. And if the ball's there, he's got it.
Class player.
Class guy.
I mean, John Brown apparently has been building himself up.
A lot of muscle mass, isn't it?
Yeah.
That he's put on. I mean, that'll help him. But I'm afraid, the problem that John Brown's going to face
is he's a speedster, really, isn't he?
Yeah. The problem he's going to face is niggles of health, which is the issue. I hope he's healthy.
Cell trait.
I hope he's going to be healthy, because I think again he's one of these players. You can see there is real talent there. As you said, the speed is there. Always has been, and you just want him to do well, but it just never quite lives up to what you think. I mean, I really wanted to put him on my sleeper list for this year, but I just can't do it to people listening in, because I keep thinking that will probably be a bad bit of advice when 3 or 4 games in he's not himself, and he's ended up struggling with health issues.
After seeing him, stuff with health.
I'm worried.
He's another one who's, he's a speedster, so hamstring issues, and he's got a sickle cell trait.
It's worrying. So
Carson's struggling to throw the ball downfield. There's plenty of negatives.
I hope it pans out for him, but I have big concerns. But I understand.
What about now that he's a $6 million man? He's built up.
Bulk up. I mean, bulking up's great, but doesn't necessarily mean it's going to help your health. It might, but I doubt it. We'll see how it pans out.
Okay. Interesting news out of the Cleveland Brown camp. Duke Johnson could be used as a slot receiver.
Yeah, this is interesting in itself, because the big problem comes that in fantasy it's reclassification. You see, if they use him as a slot receiver within a few weeks of the NFL starting, he will then be moved to a slot receiver role. He'll be counted as a wide receiver. Now, there's a big issue with this fantasy-wise, because you wouldn't want Duke Johnson as a starting. You wouldn't even have him in the flex as a wide receiver.
But he'd be useful in a PPR league as a running back, maybe.
Could be very useful.
More value if he's going to play as a slot receiver. He's going to get runs as well, so
could be very useful in PPR. He's quite unique because he has had 500 yards receiving in the first 2 years of his NFL career. That does put him in some pretty unique company. I do think there's some value at Cleveland, because I think they're an improving team, and I think their actual line has improved by the addition of the tight end.
They're going to throw a lot.
And they're going to throw a lot more.
It's going to be behind, aren't they?
So, there is some value there, and he is, in PPR, he might have some real appeal. Maybe he takes that elevated jump when you start thinking about him in terms of players like Theo Riddick in a year or two.
Waiting for Duke Johnson to break out. He never really got there.
I thought last year he was quite sneaky good value, and he ended up being rubbish, really. I mean, he was fantasy-wise. It's disappointing. And I've got to be honest, there hasn't been enough flash for me to think. Yeah,
I think he's not a good runner as
I think the problem is that it's Cleveland, and there's not enough.
That is always an issue.
That's the problem. There's not enough good roles to go around. Whereas I can buy into the Isaiah Crowell thing, but I do take on board what you said to us all before, which is absolutely right about consistency. And consistency is a big problem for me with Isaiah Crowell. Well, if that consistency is a big problem with Zach Kroll, who put up reasonably good fantasy points, then what's Duke Johnson? It's Mr. Inconsistent. I can't buy into that. So we'll see how it pans out.
You don't want those sorts of players, really.
I'll see how it pans out from this year, but I think even in PPR, I think you've got better targets.
Might give us a light bump if in PPR.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe, but it's a sort of a filler at best, isn't it? Really.
I mean, the Cardinals are doing something similar with Andre Ellington as well. They realise he's not a really good running back, so they're going to
too fragile. That's the problem.
Chris Johnson's back with Arizona as well, and they say he's going to have a role in the offense, but it's going to be a filler role, surely.
It will be, yeah. I mean, it's a sensible thing. I mean, they've worked with him before. They've offered him a 1-year deal, which he's happy with. That's good. He's a seasoned professional. He's not really in it for the money anymore. He's in it because he still thinks he's got some playing time left, and they're a good team, Arizona. They didn't have a good year last year, but they've still got all the pieces there to challenge and go deep in the playoffs. But I just think they're just a step away from where they need to be. The receivers are the big issue for me.
Well, Fitzgerald actually said that he still thinks he can compete, but he literally wants one more shot at trying to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and I think unfortunately the problem with Arizona is it just hasn't fallen right. I think what you're going to see is a team that the wheels came off last year. Everything all fell on David Johnson's shoulders to carry the load. He did a great job, no denying it, best player in fantasy. I have big concerns because he's going to have to really shoulder everything again, and you don't want to keep doing this to a running back. That's where you get breakdowns.
But a bounce back year for Palmer, which is not inconceivable.
It's not inconceivable.
Because he did have an excuse.
It's just the problem. The problem comes that if there's no velocity on these throws. So if we agree that very quickly as the season starts, the velocity starts.
Yeah, so
the air comes out of the tyres or air out of the ball. I shouldn't say that too loud because New England will get upset. But if that's what happens, then what you would see is that defensive coordinators will say, guys, we don't need to cover the deep slots. Let's let them go a little. Because he ain't gonna. If he does throw it out, you're gonna have every chance to compete with the ball. But let's stop the underneath stuff. Let's stop Fitz, and let's put the load on David, and let's try and give him as many hits as we can. We know he's elite, but let's just try and put some pressure on him. And then they get a breakdown. That whole team could come apart quickly. So be very careful here. This has the hallmarks of potentially fantasy disaster written all over it. Got to be careful. I love David Johnson. I do, and I do expect an elite year. But crikey, if he's shouldering the load 8, 9, 10 games in, can't keep doing it. Just it's not right. It's unfair on him. He's a capable back. He's one of the very few that can get 2,000 yards.
You don't mind that if you own him in fantasy, though.
You don't mind that if he's carrying a load.
Exactly.
If he can carry you into fantasy gold, no one ever minds. But you just got to be wary that they wear him out. you hope for fantasy it's not this year.
News coming out of Dallas. Jerry Jones, you expect he's a high-profile owner, says he's seen no evidence to substantiate domestic violence claims against Zeke. And that's almost firing a warning shot to the NFL, saying, look, there's no evidence.
Well, there was a bit...
it's almost saying, look, you try and ban him, and lawyers are going to be all over you.
I was watching the NFL Network last night, and they had Jerry Jones on there and the coach, and they were being quizzed by the press in America, and the American press is brutal.
It's not as brutal as the English press.
Well, I think they're quite brutal. The way they ask questions is pretty strong, and it's the right thing to do, actually, because they were asked questions about... what impact does this have on the team, and what about the impact of you've got to quickly cut your roster down this year from 93 to 53? So does this have an impact on players that are on the bubble, maybe losing a job because of somebody like Ezekiel Elliott? And that's a great question.
Well, it's not though, is it?
No, but it's a great question.
Everybody knows they're not going to cut Zeke, whatever.
No, but it's a great question because it does affect somebody's job. Things like this, and the way they handled it was brilliant. Actually, the coach said he basically said, yeah, Zeke's going to have to basically man up and learn some lessons here that your impact could affect someone else's job. And he said, and that's a good lesson learned. He said, if you're going to learn anything in this field is, we're helping you this year. We're helping you this year, Zeke. You've got a lot of issues hanging over you. You need to clean your act up. And that's what he was saying to them. He said, I expect him to be squeaky clean next season. He said, because even us will be reevaluating everything next season, because he said, nobody's infallible. He said, but as much as we believe in him, we believe in our line more. So that was a real testament to, putting it out there.
Putting a warning out to him.
Putting a warning out that you better clean yourself up, because, as much as we believe in you, and it's pretty much going to be proved true. I mean, the thing is, still stands is, again, I was asked about this, is, do I still maintain it's only going to be a 1 or 2 game ban? Yes, I do. I still think that's all that's going to happen, because the latest situation, it's unfortunate timing, there's no evidence, no one's come forward.
Yes, the police people predicted 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
The evidence.
There's no evidence. There's nothing that ties.
Although there's a lot of it, it's all
it's circumstantial. The police can't investigate. If somebody's not going to press charges, the police can't investigate it. Yeah, there might be. You could argue.
There's no video evidence to say he did it.
You could argue that maybe some of his team have got to the person and said, don't press any charges, we'll pay you off. All those things go on in American football. The reality is the police can't do anything about it. It's been a fracas. It's not going to be investigated. They keep the case open just in case. That's standard police procedure out there. The reality is this will blow over. He will face a 1 or 2 game ban. That is it for this season, unless something brand new comes out, which I hope at this point and expect it not to. I think that's the end. Hopefully,
you think if there was anything, it would have
come out by now. So we're just going to believe in the fact that it's a 1 or 2 game ban, and you will still have elite numbers from Ezekiel Elliott. You just got to expect the fact that this ban could start at the beginning of this year.
They're also saying, and involved in this, that the Cowboys aren't looking to sign a third running back or another running back.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Because every chance to cut Alfred Morris, because he gets a big bonus if he signs onto the roster this year.
Yeah.
Like $5 million, so they're likely going to cut him.
Yeah, I know, it's a brutal way to
It's a big bonus anyway, so the way it's designed is he's going to be cut, I think.
I think you're right. But
they need to know about Ezekiel Elliott first before they do it.
It's all these.
It's like the Ryan Matthews way for it to be
absolutely.
clear.
It's horrible, isn't it, when you look at things like that? But it's a brutal sport. It's a brutal business, and I'm afraid it has to be. Every penny counts, so you have to work it all out.
So they say outwardly, we don't look for another running back, but then they try out Denard Robinson and Ronnie Hillman.
Standard stuff, because you're sending a warning shot across the bow of Ezekiel Elliott. No one's irreplaceable. You have to do these things. And also it's good pro practice that you're prepared to take people in.
Well, and if they do ban him for a while, they can...
And if something happens, sometimes these Denard Robinsons and players like that, you take a look at them now. Maybe you don't do anything. Maybe you're impressed, but you can't do anything about it.
I always thought Denard Robinson was okay.
Yeah, he was all right. But they might, you remember these things when you bring him in for pro days and trial days, and maybe, maybe they need him for a practice squad player. If something happens, they need depth, they may bring him back. That's why you do them, because you want to have a look at the player and make an evaluation. So it's good practice, and it's good they're doing that. But let's hope this is the end of the Ezekiel Elliott business. In fact, I'm quite bored of talking about him in terms of these issues. Yeah. I just hope they go away. I believe in the talent. I believe he's going to have another great year. He's behind the best line in football, in my view. There are a few good lines out there now, of course, and maybe that may change. But wow, what an opportunity.
Okay, Joe Williams... apparently he's pushing for an extended role in the San Francisco offense.
Yeah, I'm delighted to hear it, actually. I mean, I do want there to be a big battle at training camp between him and Carlos Hyde. I'm a big Joe Williams fan. He's on one of my sleeper lists. I like him a lot for this year. It's again, I'm not expecting him to initially break out. I was never saying that. What I'm saying is, I think it could shake out that he ends up with some sort of role, and that they're pretty much confirming that he may well do, and that fits the Shanahan kind of offense. He likes to have two running backs. He likes to be able to use the sort of, you know, lightning and thunder kind of thing. You got one guy that can pound it away and another guy who can come in and change the whole dynamic of the game. I think Joe Williams can be that dynamic kind of player. When he gets a few touches, he can be quite lethal. And if he proves that explosiveness at the NFL level, then he will be one to watch. There's a lot of ifs, but it's exciting to see how it pans out. If nothing else, it's just fun to see. I'll be one of those more interesting training camp battles, and you never know.
It could be Tim Hightower.
It could be Tim Hightower.
Matt Breida.
Yeah, your favourite Police Academy player.
You can't knock Police Academy. Mm-hmm. Stood the test of time.
It certainly has. Unlike the Rams.
Yeah. Terry Bridgewater looking likely to start the season on the PUP list. Not really a big surprise, is it? As his knee nearly fell off last year.
No, we've kind of hinted at the fact that we think, you know, there's going to be some signs pointing towards a better and quicker recovery. But I'm not going to lose any sight of the reality. Even if they put him on the PUP list, which give them every right to bring him back within 8 weeks, that ain't happening this season.
It'd be a great story, but yeah,
that's not happening this season. He will have this year to build back up strength, muscle mass, flexibility in that leg, check that everything's working okay, that he's able to manoeuvre in the pocket properly, because it's different. You know, small running drills and small side steps are completely different than large quick cuts and being smacked or hit. Completely different game. They need time for that. You're not going to do any of that at this stage. You don't risk your asset at this moment. You give him the full length of recovery. Still young enough, no problem at all, plenty of time ahead. I wouldn't take any risks. I expect him back in 2018. I expect him back to play. So I've got every confidence he'll come back.
Oh, good. Well, that'd be good news. Eddie Lacy might not be 100% for the start of camp. He ended the season with he had a season-ending ankle injury last year.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, like any sort of big structure, you really need some...
Yeah,
you really need some foundation to hold it. So his ankle's taken a bit of strain.
Weight issues seem to have been Eddie Lacy's Achilles heel. There's a great analogy for it, isn't it?
His ankle.
His ankle, his Achilles ankle. He's got big issues there, and they're very big issues. But I think the big problem with him is he hasn't shown health in the last 2 years. He's just been out of shape. He's not been professionally ready. I mean, is that going to change up there in Seattle? They've had to give him incentives to get his weight down. I mean, what sort of world do these people live in when you need to have incentives to get ready for the season?
You think it'd be common sense, really?
You know, I would do everything I could to be... You know, you tell me what you want, I'll be ready. You know,
but not everyone's like that.
That's crazy. You'd fight tooth and nail for it.
They can be a maddening bunch, can't they?
Frustrating, yeah.
You know, they've got the world at their feet and they just can't put the effort in.
I mean, I thought, you know, one of the things that Eddie Lacy showed in Green Bay, and it was one of the things I was really excited to see in his third year, was... They started using him in the sort of screen passing game, and I thought, wow, when you get the big man out in space,
he's out rolling. He's hard to stop.
Once he's out there against those corners, you think they ain't bringing him down, you know, and he can rumble on for 15, 20, 25 yards. And I thought, you know, I could imagine a situation where
it's like trying to stop a bulldozer.
Yeah, you see 25 to 40 of those passes in his third year, and I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be exciting to watch. So of course, you've seen 2 great years. You're all over Eddie Lacy. You think he's going to be great, and what happens? The wheels come off. He's out of shape. He's not in any sort of sports shape. It shows. He gets injured. He bangs up, and the ankles, they are the most for a running back. Oh, it's deadly. I mean,
and Seattle is notoriously bad O-line, isn't it? So.
Yeah, I mean, it's deadly for a running back because when the ankles go, and I'm not talking about it could just be a bad bruise, a deep bruise. When your ankles have gone, you have to think about the weight. You know, there's nothing you can do. Every time you move, every time you turn, every time you try to do anything, it really, no matter what they do to numb the pain, I'd say it can take weeks to recover from it. So this is a really bad sign going into camp that, you know, again, he's battling these issues. Because the one thing that he's proved is when he's off his feet, he can eat. That's the problem.
Right.
You know, that's the worry for me. And when he's got time in his hand, he don't seem to get into trouble. He just seems to eat. That's the problem.
That's one thing to do in the afternoon,
I guess. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's the end of the news. So let's move on to the ADP risers and fallers.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting list this week. It's getting close to the start of picking players.
I'm going to leave out the ones that don't really affect fantasy, because there's some big risers in the 300s to 200, but who cares, frankly. So, biggest riser, the sort of 150 and below. Terence West up 18 to 128 ADP.
I guess that's because of the initial suspension to Kenneth Dixon and things like that.
But he's been suspended for ages. Why is he suddenly...
Well, fantasy enthusiasts have got behind it a bit more and realised there's some value there.
Common sense.
There's an opportunity for a few weeks. And remember, depending on the strategy somebody's employing, if that's the way it's fallen in your draft, it's better to have a player that's going to play for 4 weeks, even if it's only mediocre points. Better than nothing. So, I mean, I'd take a shot at... And you did raise a very good point when you said that their early season schedule is pretty good for running backs.
It is, yeah.
So for Terence West, that's quite appealing. So
it depends how much Danny Woodhead muddies the waters, really.
Probably muddies it quite a bit, but still, if you're picking Terence West that late, because his ADP is pretty good still, that's not bad, is it?
No,
4 weeks.
He's all right at that point. Devontae Parker up 18 to 92.
All the fantasy enthusiasts.
I know you're a big fan.
Oh, massive Glass fan of his, yeah. No, I don't understand why there's so much love for Devontae Parker. He hasn't proved it yet. The offense doesn't do enough for me to prove there's elite numbers in there. I mean, he's got...
And Tannehill, you think they're going to... they're more of a running team now with Jai.
Yeah, they've got to be. I mean, Tannehill has proved...
point of that offense.
Tannehill has proved he can throw the ball quite deep, but that really is the regime of Kenny Stills. That's his thing. That's what he does well. Whereas Parker strikes me as another sort of... I don't mean to use the word Jarvis Landry clone in a negative way because that's not fair.
He's totally different to Landry though. He's big. He's a big guy, isn't he?
Well, he's more of a. He's got the potential to be more of a red zone target guy.
He's got the touchdowns.
So they are there, but for that team, there's never been quite enough from Tannehill to sort of you work down what Tannehill's done on a year by year basis and spread it out, and you kind of think. As soon as you think, Parker could get 8 to 10, he ends up with 5 or 6. So suddenly it's a big loss.
And they do tend to run it in the red zone.
I think Jai is the guy, even though the schedule for them looks pretty bad for running game.
I mean, even Damian Williams, had 2 touchdown weeks last year.
I can believe it. So I'm more, Devontae Parker, I treat literally with kid gloves. Look, if he's there at a certain point in the draft, I'd give him consideration.
Well, what point? He's at 92 now. What point?
Well, the irony was last night is a good example. We were in an auction draft. It was only 10 team, wasn't it? He was out there for a very, very long period of time. We could have got him really cheap, and I still didn't pick him up for $1. That tells you how bad I'm still not convinced on him. So when you can't take a player for $1 and you can find other players to fill your bench, that's a worry, isn't it?
Another guy moving up the ADP charts to 71, up 16.
Yeah,
Willie Snead.
Yeah, we've liked him, haven't we? I mean, but he's playing opposite.
Now he's getting to a place where he's not that great value, I think. 71, that's quite...
It's too high, the ADP. I mean, I can't pay that price for Willie Snead. You know that classic come on down? I can't pay that for Willie Snead because...
We do a video like that? Oh, we did.
We did, yeah. That was a good video. If you haven't seen that video, it's worth seeing the come on down video. That is quite funny.
The price is right.
Price is right, because in his case, I mean, it was palatable before this rise. Now it's unpalatable for me because, look, although he's playing opposite Michael Thomas, we have to be perfectly honest. He has never scored more than 5 or 6 touchdowns. Yes, the odds.
He's a good, honest pro, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll give you a serviceable year, but there are a lot of wide receivers that are going to give you similar numbers who are in a much better spot further down the draft board. So I just don't see it. I don't see where the value is for it. He's not like he's a big man going in the end zone competing for the ball. I don't see any of that. So I think this is one of those situations where Willie Snead,
when he was going at 90, 100, that's
perfectly
fine. But
fine.
71, maybe a bit.
I mean, look at it. Even in the smallest draft, you're picking him round 7. Look at the kind of players that would be around him there. Let's look at some. Actually, are you able to bring that list up?
What do you want to know?
Let's just have a look at people around Willie Snead's value. Say just slightly before and slightly after, if that's okay. I'll be interested to see.
Yeah, so he's now 71. So you're looking at.
Just give us a few players, 2 or 3 players before him and 2 or 3 players after him, just to get an idea, a feel for the players around him at this point in the ADP list on Fantasy Pros. That'll be interesting.
So you've got Jamison Crowder's going below him.
Well, that's fabulous.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah,
surely.
That's really good. Yeah.
Brandon Marshall's going below him. Stefan Diggs is going below him.
I mean, come on, let's just immediately. If you asked me, if you said, would you take Stefan Diggs over him? Yes. Would you take Brandon Marshall over him? Yes.
Jamison Crowder.
Yes. Yeah. So I mean, no disrespect.
Kelvin Benjamin.
That's the one time I would take Willie Snead. Yeah.
Okay.
No.
You draw the line at Kelvin Benjamin.
Kelvin Benjamin, no, because of, again, it's glass situation, it's injuries that have been hanging over him for far too long. So no. And it's interesting, but no, the price is too high.
He's actually not a good. He's actually been tipped up so much at that 90. He's gone he's a bit like Gillisley. We were tipping up Gillisley early. Yeah, and now everyone else is getting.
Well, the problem is you have to make a decision. Now, this is the issue now with players. The same with Willie Snead will be the same issue. I do like Mike Gillisley. I'm not going to deny it. I think, we're both big fans of his for this year. We both think there's a really good opportunity there. We do take him on board the risks that happen in New England. We do understand those. We do get the fact
that... as he rises, he becomes less value.
But he becomes less value. And the question is, how high would you take him? Now, he still has, to me, he still has value. But the problem I find myself in, if I'm being honest, is I can't really take him outside his... I don't want to go in any quicker for somebody like Mike Gillisley on his ADP, but he's rising so quickly that he's almost pricing himself out of a market for me. There are other players around him that I might take. So same with Willie Snead. It's a big problem now. But we can safely say, if you drafted before these rises, you got yourself a bargain.
Yeah.
But definitely. If you now have to consider whether the value's still there, it's a good one.
Another man rising up 26 places. Jeremy Hill. He's up to 129 now.
I think
he's going around Terrence West and Duke Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, you can't knock that price.
James White.
You can't knock that price for Jeremy Hill there, because if you look at all those players, I would take Jeremy Hill over all those players you've mentioned. And you've got to be honest, that's quite a clever... It's a fancy move. I mean, look, if you're looking to add a player who may or may not have a role this year, but has more chance of some role early doors,
but
Jeremy Hill
does score. I mean, he scores double digits if he does play.
Yeah,
there is upside.
Look, there's no guarantees.
I mean, he's a plodder. He's not exciting.
Like you said, I'm backing the risk. I'm saying Mixon breaks out during training camp and early preseason, takes the job over. That's what I'm predicting. You're rightly, and absolutely got to put this out there. I'm going for what I believe, and it's a belief. It's a belief. Now, Al rightly uses the much more, tried and tested, correct fantasy formula, which is belief is great to have, and sometimes you have to have people who have belief in fantasy, like me, because we will make those jumps of logic. We will make some jumps, and people go, "Oh, that's crazy," but it pans out.
It's not crazy. Right. I mean, a lot of people are saying it.
I see.
I'm not saying it won't happen. I'm saying I'm a bit more cautious.
Yeah, and you're right to be cautious, because there is risk here. Because if we take Joe Mixon, we know his ADP is high. The risk is simple. Let's say the best scenario, Joe Mixon does break out, but not immediately. So not immediately. And that is still good. But it takes 6 to 8 games to break out fully. That's a long time to carry a player in fantasy football. A third pick or a fourth pick in the league. That's a long time to carry a player. If you're taking them third or fourth, they better be starters, because the danger.
These are the anchors of your team. You've got to get solid players.
You need players who are playing. So as much as I'm like, I really believe in Joe Mixon, you're right to take a more cautious approach, but you have to decide.
I love his talent.
It's always in these situations. It's always about what you want to do. So as a fantasy person, you have to put yourself in you have to build your own list. This is why we always say, as much as we want hopefully our list to be as accurate as possible, you've got to build your own. If you think the risk is too high on a player like Joe Mixon, don't go anywhere near it. Swerve past it. If you believe in them, then you go for it, because sometimes by shooting for the moon you do actually get it. And when those things happen, you do look quite maverick. When it doesn't work out, people will rightly point at you and throw vegetables. That's what happens. That's fantasy. It's fun.
I'm throwing vegetables now.
So I look forward to seeing how it pans out. I still believe in him until proved otherwise.
No, he might appear later in another section. So
I look forward to that.
We'll come back to him.
Okay.
Frank Gore.
Yeah.
He's up 12 places at 66, and he's someone we were quite high on down in the 7th.
Loved him down in the 70s, but now he's now inside.
He was an RB1. I mean, he is he finished as RB12 last year.
The problem is
he's another year older. But
the problem, this is a catch-22 for me, because at that ADP level in large leagues, 16-man leagues, that's inside 4 rounds now, isn't it?
He's going round...
What's his ADP, sorry?
66 now.
So just outside...
So the players going around him, you've got Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, Dante Moncrief, Jimmy Graham, LeGarrette Blount, Paul Perkins.
I'd be taking all of those over Frank Gore.
You would?
Oh,
poor Frank.
I know,
he never gets the credit he deserves.
Yeah, but I could be picking late in that round and he's still sitting there and I'd take him. He's still a good player.
But now he's actually rising now.
Yeah, that's the problem. I mean,
these people we were talking about earlier, they're all rising.
Which is great. And I do like him. I mean, again, in certain leagues, I might be looking for a running back, and even if he is the first off the board for me, I still might take him.
I mean, drafting is all about finding the right value, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And it constantly moves. So
it always, and also you're looking for locking pieces. As I say, if you can, we've talked about this a little bit off air, and it's worth mentioning here. Your first 9 draft picks in any league, you want 6 of them to be locks. If you can get 6 locking pieces, and we're not talking about defenses or kickers, we're talking about 6 players, whatever they may be, quarterback, wide receiver, all those things need to lock. you've got yourself a potential playoff team. And it sounds easy until you realise how many times players get banged up, injured, and how much you need to cement around that 6 to make it happen. It's much harder than you think. So you need all of that's what makes fantasy intriguing. Because if it was easy, everybody would be able to do it. And no matter what league size, you find this all the time. You need one big injury, like we played last night in an auction league. You need one injury with some of those teams, and they won't look half as good as they look on paper right now. So, yeah, it is fascinating.
So you've had your voodoo doll out this morning?
I've had them all out this morning, all the voodoo dolls. Line them all up.
That's another great fantasy tactic, voodoo dolls.
Yeah, would recommend them all the time. Stick pins in anything that remotely resembles.
Anything that gives you a shot. Okay, well, on the flip side of the coin, these are the biggest fallers.
Yeah. Good name for a fantasy team, actually, voodoo dolls. I must remember that.
Well, there's a guy in Ali who swears by voodoo dolls, doesn't he?
He's
always he's got an amazing success rate. It's frightening.
Yeah, luckily I don't have that kind of
sort of dabbling in the occult. Seems to have.
I have no superstitious fears. My teams are always bad. No, they're not bad, but it is fun to see him watch him work his magic.
He's always got the backup running backs, and he's going, ooh.
I said that to him one year. I said to Simon, I love the voodoo that you do, and you got to love it. It's great fun.
So Dixon, who's obviously the flip side of the coin to Terence West, he's a faller. He's dropping down to 120.
Great value down.
He's down 13 spots. So
yeah, a great value. I mean,
he's missing 4 games.
Missing 4 games, but
is that great value?
Well, it is as a filler player. I mean, look, you're taking shots down there, aren't you? I mean, 113, 114. You're taking shots at putting players on your team that could lock in. I don't mind if he's like my 4th or 5th running back. Preferably 5th.
I mean,
I don't mind that.
Terence West ain't going to turn into Lloyd Lucan after week 4. He's not going to totally disappear.
No, he's not. No, but Kenneth Dixon's showed
you
moments.
Got Danny Woodhead there.
I know, but he's shown moments of inspiration and intrigue where you think maybe if he comes back, there's a player, and you think, well, what if he takes over? We've discussed how good some of the aspects of Baltimore are, and if the running game took off, there's actually a pretty good team there, and if Kenneth Dixon is that running back, it would be intriguing. So at that price, I'd be quite interested, actually. That would intrigue me enough to buy a piece, not in every league, but maybe 1 or 2 leagues. I wouldn't mind a bit of Kenneth Dixon, see what happens. Wouldn't bother me, because they're all 1% shots down, they're all risks, so I don't mind that.
It's finding the right ones, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Okay, well, the next player on the list is Landry, one of your favourites.
Yeah.
So you're going to get even better value for him if you want him.
Yeah, where's he dropped to
He's
now?
down to 53, down 12 spaces from 41.
This is interesting, right? So I'm guessing
so he's now going just below Golden Tate and just above Emmanuel Sanders.
I think he's great value there. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's a perfectly fair pitch. It's in the right spot. I like it there because he's in round 4 in a large league. He's round 5 in some leagues, round 6 in small leagues.
And Gillisley's above him now.
It's frightening, isn't it?
He rose that much.
Yeah, it's frightening. Well, I don't mind Landry there. He's a serviceable pro. He's a perfect player as a lock-in piece. I mean, if we talk about lock-in players, would you be disappointed as a 4th pick to get Jarvis Landry? Not really. No, I wouldn't.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Let me tell you something. The one thing that Landry's got going over him, which is the bit that some people don't see, if I had to put
if it was BPR...
Look, I'm going to give a standard league response here. Okay. This is standard league. There is a chance there is a chance, if you're being honest, you've seen Landry now for a few years. So, I mean, we can all agree, very, very good player. 90 catches is something he can do. He could break 100. He's more than capable of doing that. Can he get 1,400 yards with the right year? Yes. Can he score above 7 touchdowns? Yes, he could on the right year. Hang on a minute. Then that puts him in 5 to 7 wide receiver territory. That puts him around 1 category. He's got the capability at any year right now breaking out. The only thing holding him back is the quarterback play. If the running game takes off in Miami, don't be surprised that he ends up being a wide receiver 7 or 8 on the charts in the end.
I can see
Landry's got capability to do that even in standard. Forget PPR. He's always a PPR monster. But I just think to myself, at round 4... he's a lock-in. At the very least, he's 160 fantasy points. He's got to be in the range of 150 to 160.
Well, he only got 130 odd last year. So
yeah, but a bad year
140 is probably his floor.
I mean, he had 1,200 yards. Just as touchdowns, he only had, what was it, in the end, 4 or 5. I mean, it was just disappointing because for so long of the year. So it wasn't him, it was the TD rate. So for me... there is
that's because he's the underneath guy.
Yeah, if the circumstances break little bit better, surely he's worth 150. And in the 4th round, that's pretty safe. You know, it's not great, it's not elite, maybe there's not a huge ceiling, but I still like him, and there's still a chance he breaks out a little bit more because he's capable. It's not like you're saying the guy can't play.
I think he's a good player.
So I don't mind that value, that's okay.
Okay.
Happy that he's dropping, actually, it's better.
Yeah.
I got him last night, didn't I, in the auction league for $3.
You did.
That was great.
I show you, everybody else hates him in our...
I don't mind that. It's a good serviceable pro, that'll do me.
$3 is a good price.
It's a good price for him.
Hunter Henry down 9 places to 108.
Yeah, tight ends are all 10 a penny for me this year.
Well, they've got 2 for a start.
You know, all 10 a penny.
He's good though. He's a good one, but again, crowded backfield, 2 tight ends to target.
As you said, there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense now, and I don't know. I mean, I'm not paying. I mean, it's a fair price. Let's put it that way. It's not like you'd be overpaying down there for that price. You wouldn't be. And in certain leagues, I might be willing to take that price, but I just think there's still so many tight ends after him.
Going around Eric Ebron, who would you prefer out of the 2?
I'll take Eric Ebron because I will at least take a punt on what people are predicting, which is another bigger year. The only thing about Eric Ebron that concerns me is I don't think there's enough touchdowns, and depending on my team makeup, I might go with Hunter Henry because I might be thinking, well, there's more TDs, and in standard league scoring, that's probably more important. So you kind of have to weigh these things up.
Okay. Another one down. He's down 8 places to 49, and that's Jordan Reed.
Yeah, that's mad money. I can't be paying. There's only one tight end I would pay for, and obviously that's Gronk. But then you know what the risks are with him, so I won't be paying any of the mad money for any other tight ends in the game. I just won't do it. It's just not worth it for me. I would rather take another tight end who's going to give me packed numbers and not worry about losing a high pick. I mean, just think about this, right? So Jordan Reed, 40-something?
49.
Let's look at the players around him. So just give me some before and some after.
Mark Ingram, Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, all right. Well, I won't be touching. I won't be touching.
And then there's Greg Olsen and Golden Tate, and then you've got the Gillisley, Landry.
You know, and let's be honest, Gillisley and Landry will probably end up with more fantasy points than him by quite a margin, and maybe Gillisley will surprise people this year, quite a lot. So, it wouldn't surprise me at all that why would you want to get less fantasy points? You would want a player that's
not the
ideal
ideal scenario, is it?
You want to get more fantasy points with every pick. As I say, if you use that bench line of is this player 200 point worthy round 1? Yes, great, pick him. Is this guy worth 180 round 2? Yeah, pick him, or close to it, go with it. Round 3, 160, round 4, 140, so on, 120, till you get to 100. Once you reach that 100, can the player get 100 fantasy points or more? If you believe, you can get it more than 120.
Or can he boost your team later in the season?
Yeah, then you go with that. And you take risks, and you have to take lottery picks because it very quickly thins down to be the value is really risky. And this is what you're dealing with. I don't want to lose because I don't want to lose a 140 or 160 point player to a tight end because look, last year the best tight end only got 138. The rest were all pack players at 120. So not only did I didn't get the 140, I might have lost 20 fantasy points in the process by taking the tight end and lost a player capable of giving me an extra 60 to 80 fantasy points. All these things will hurt you long term. Okay,
the last one on the list for fallers, he's down 8 to 75. He's a player you've had before, Stefan Diggs.
Yeah, I like him. Yeah, it's okay. It's a nice fall. It's a nice fall. I think he's a nice shot there. I mean, that's a player I don't mind adding to my I wouldn't mind adding him to my wide receiver core in certain situations. I think he's a good player. I think look, if you think about where he finished last year, he's not getting a lot of respect, is he?
It's just the Minnesota offense, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, he did.
They're a bit like Baltimore. Everyone, Wallace and Macklin are quite low down. The running backs, they're all like in their hundreds.
But Diggs had moments until he got injured where he actually looked pretty good. I mean,
I agree.
I quite like him at that price. I mean, I'd take a shot at him.
More so in PPR, but he's at 75.
But when you're in these,
he's going above Adrian Peterson, and above Kelvin Benjamin.
Yeah, that's fine.
Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind that.
Below Willie Snead.
Unbelievable, really.
Willie Snead, he's like, what's
going
on there?
Mr. Snead.
He's got too high, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's gone too high. I'm sorry.
More like nosebleed, not Willie Nosebleed Snead, isn't it? He's got that high. Guys, I don't know what he wasn't doing.
He'll be in some. He'll be suspended very soon. Willie Snead.
Willie Nosebleed Snead, he's known.
He's way too high on the ADP list. Not good. Not a good sign. But yeah, Stefan Diggs is certainly a good player. I certainly don't mind him. Again, if he falls at the right moment, I'd definitely be looking at him as a player to add to my team.
All right, we're going to move on to Cut Trade Keep. Seems to be a popular part of our show.
Yep.
People have sent this one in. It's Joe Mixon, Ty Montgomery, and Spencer Ware. Cut Trade Keep.
I think this is a good one.
So this is like, you've got a rookie, you've got a wide receiver converted to a running back, and you've got like a guy who took over the job.
This is actually probably the best trade cut keep I've heard so far. It creates all sorts of problems as you consider them in your head quickly. And this is what I would do. This is crazy. I'm going to cut Spencer Ware, which is madness, but I would cut him. I'll explain why in a moment. I'm going to trade on Joe Williams' name because as the camp
Joe
comes
Williams, Joe Mixon, you mean?
Joe Mixon.
Joe Williams.
Sorry,
You're making players up.
I'm making players up. I'm going to trade on Joe Mixon. And the reason I'm going to trade on Joe Mixon, I'm going to go with the hype train as it comes into town and make some money out of it. And I'm going to keep Ty Montgomery. I'm going to keep him because I think Green Bay will actually use him.
So Green Bay, a throwing team. Yeah. He's a wide receiver.
Yeah,
playing as running back.
I know it sounds it sounds madness, but that's how I feel about it because I think that's what you would do in a trade cut keep situation. You have to keep one, you have to drop one, and you have to decide what you're going to do with the other. I think I can get a lot of mileage out of Joe Mixon right now.
Okay,
and I do love Joe Mixon, but in this situation, I'm going to try and cash in on him quickly in case anything goes wrong.
Do you think Ty Montgomery is more solid than Mixon? Do you think?
It's a really difficult one because I just think that Green Bay will end up letting me using him all year, and no matter how much I love Jamal Williams, I just think that's what's going to happen. And so you kind of have to own both. You kind of feel you have to own both. You can do that because obviously Jamal Williams is going so low down on the ADPs, you can probably get both. So I just think it's a kind of a safety valve. It's very easy to do, and I would just be trading on Joe Mixon.
What's Spencer Ware done to you that you don't know?
Nothing. I've actually got him in my fantasy team.
Oh no, you got him in this one. He's not in this one.
I actually do like him, but I did pick up his backup as well, so I'm kind of holding both pieces for safety.
Okay, this is a less salubrious three to choose from.
Okay.
Sims from Tampa Bay.
Yeah, like Charles Sims. Charles Sims has been
Robert Turbin.
Yeah.
And Ryan Matthews. These are three that are going together. Where you get into the end of your draft, you're thinking, which one of these three lovely? I need a running back. These are the three top choices. You can't cut all of them.
If I had a choice,
poor old Ryan Matthews. He's been under the. Don't make cut him. He's on death row. As soon as he's healed,
here's what I would
gone.
do. Here's what I would do for Ryan Matthews, and I hope this does get back to him. I do apologise before I say this. Ryan Matthews, you're cut. You're gone. I wouldn't even hold on to him, not even for a split second. And ironically enough,
he's probably heard that too many times.
I'm sure. So he's gone. There trade value on Robert Turbin and
Charles
Sims. I'm not keeping Robert Turbin. I'm not putting him in any team. So I'm going to attempt to trade him.
Who's going to trade for him?
Well, exactly. You gave me this cut trade keep, and I'm keeping Charles Sims for my squad.
Ryan Matthews might get another team.
I'm keeping Charles Sims for my squad. I'm hoping for the best. That's what I'm going to do with this three.
Well, so three good ones, isn't there?
That is a cracker. That I like that. But that's what I would do. There is an argument you could try and trade on Ryan Matthews, but I think we could all face the same argument. He's got a neck injury. The other team are holding on to him till he gets classification that he can play again.
He's on death row, and he's like, oh.
But who's going to take a chance on him? That's the problem.
Well,
somebody might. We'll see.
Dallas, because they don't need another third running back.
They don't need another running back.
They might have one band, and they're definitely desperate to cut the other one.
They don't need one with a screw in his neck. They'll be fine.
They're desperate to cut Morris. Zeke might be banned. We don't need another one. You're really true.
That's true.
You're just trying them out for a laugh. That's believable.
Knowing Dallas, they might just do that. At least he hasn't ended up at the Rams yet. Watch this space.
Talking about Dallas, I mean, Des Bryant
Yeah.
missed a conditioning test because he was doing a barbecue for some people, I mean, do they have any discipline at all? I mean, any of them?
You have to worry.
I mean,
right?
Dak seems to be the only one, and Witten.
Well, let's be honest. We joked about this in the off-season, didn't we? We talked about the offensive line for Dallas and how many times every single year somebody's suspended, gone up for a charge or anything else. That's happened again this year.
You don't have a good offensive line when your whole squad's offensive. getting arrested for DUIs, drugs.
I think what they haven't explained to your team, I'll be honest, they've said to them, listen, you're on our offensive line. And then what happens is they go out and commit an offence.
They've got the wrong sort of offensive line.
No, that. You don't have to do that.
It literally is a line. There's that many of them doing it. It's ridiculous.
It's really difficult. If they put them up in front of some sort of screen and said who did it, they'd be pointing at every single one of them.
Yeah. They've all done something.
They've all been done for some crime. I mean, it's a worry over there, isn't it? I mean, as you say, the discipline record is quite bizarre. And there is question marks, actually, over the regime. There'd have to be at this point. I mean, where do people draw the line down here?
I think they probably had some serious words.
The best thing, again, this was great from last night. People who watch this will definitely remember this comment. Jerry Jones, funny enough, was quizzed a little bit, not on this kind of thing, but just in general, the questions got quite interesting. At one point, he said, "You guys in the press have no idea what it was like back in the 80s." He said, when we didn't have the internet and we didn't have Facebook and all that. He said, "We faced a lot worse then." What was it like? What was it like then? What did they cover up?
I saw a comment saying a lot of Dallas's best teams were when there were a lot of them with thugs and getting arrested all the time. So.
Well, it was
maybe it's a recipe for success.
Yeah, mate. Well, you have to have a bit of an attitude. I mean, I know that sounds like an old cliche and an old stuck record, but it's true. Football, you play with passion. You have to play with passion, or you have to. It has to mean something to you when you've been, had a bad game against a team and then you come up against them later on the next year. You got to want to beat them.
I mean, O.J. Simpson was, released. He was given an early release.
Yeah.
Did you see some of his comments?
Little bits.
He said, "People know I've never used a gun against anybody." Hello. Do you know what else he said? "Oh, I'm a real straight shooter." Is he having a laugh? I mean, you couldn't make it up.
Yeah, well, we better not comment too much on that, but I think all we can say
allegedly,
is... Allegedly. He hasn't. Yeah, allegedly he's not a straight shooter, so that's all you can say. I think we leave it there with him. I mean, yes, he's been released, and I'm sorry to say, at 72, the future doesn't look too bright, to be honest, for him. It's not looking good.
You're cutting him, eh?
Yeah, he's gone. He's not
no future for him.
He's no future in fantasy football now. As much as the Rams may want to pick him up as a backup running back.
Well, he could do a lot worse.
He could do. Yeah.
I remember
the days of Benny Cunningham and all those kind of things.
Well, where's the other guy?
Where are they now?
Where's the other guy you had that went missing, who's not with team? What's his name? Trey Mason.
Oh, God.
What happened to him?
I don't know.
Where is he? Anyone found him yet?
No, I don't think he turned up. I think he went on a Dallas day out and never came back. I think he's buried in some flyover near Dallas. I don't know. Who knows?
Okay, your last cut trade keep.
Yeah.
Adam Thielen.
Right.
Corey Davis and Quincy Enunwa. These are three wide receivers that have potential upside. They're going...
Thielen I'm cutting. I'm not going to keep in my team. Yeah.
Why?
I just don't. I'm not buying into it.
Massive game, didn't he?
Yeah, not buying into that at all. I'm going to trade on Corey Davis's name, so I'm going to use the rookie for leverage. And I'm going to keep Enunwa for this year because as much as I don't like the Jets, I don't really rate them, there is something to be said about a wide receiver one who's likely to get all the work, going to be thrown to all day long. He's going to be thrown to even when they're losing.
I think he's quite talented as well.
I think so. And even Brandon Marshall says very good things about him. And to be fair, he doesn't say many good things about many people. So I think that's good credit to him. And I hope he does have a good year. So that's how I would go with it, to be honest. I think that's not a bad one.
And Josh McCown came out this week and said Jets aren't going to be as bad as everyone thinks they are.
Yeah, I'm going to say this to Josh McCown now.
If it's Aaron Rodgers saying it, maybe it's Josh McCown.
As much as that's really great that you've said it, there's a reality check. The Jets have got a lot of problems with this year. They are in tank mode. I mean, there's no doubt about that. They are not looking.
But the fans are good with it, so
the fans can cope if they can see a transition and people try. You've got to, even in tank mode, you've got to give it everything.
Would you still go? Would you still get a season ticket if you were a Jets fan?
Listen, let me tell you straight, right?
And you're a hardcore Jets fan. You know they're going to tank.
The answer is fairly clear. Look, Rams came over here not long ago.
Yeah.
I didn't go see them, did I?
No.
Why didn't I go see the Rams? Because we've been rubbish. Right, that's not because I don't support them. I love the Rams, but I'm not going to spend good money to go and watch a poor team play football, even if they're my own. I want my team to actually... I want to believe that they're going to give me 100% even if they lose.
It's going to be entertaining, at least.
And entertaining. And we had a bad year. We looked poor. It was a poor game, and I was correct to not bother.
I enjoyed it.
There were other games I went to see which I really enjoyed. And as much as I love the Rams, I would be that kind of fan, yeah, because I want to watch a team that actually seems to try.
Is this a masterstroke by the Jets? Because, they set the bar so low, everyone thinks they're going to win 2 games.
Well, if you're a player there...
Anything else looks great, doesn't it?
It does. If you're a player there, this is a golden opportunity. So, Numwa, this is a wonderful opportunity because...
Yeah, to show how good
if he can go in... if they have a terrible year and lost every game, but he comes away with 1,100 yards, 8 touchdowns or something like that, they're going to talk about him in good circles. He's going to go, that Numwa is a good player. That's your opportunity.
Anderson, you've got these.
You got players as well. I mean, Matt Forty could cement his, what has been a really good career, great career actually. He could cement that this year because he's in a bad team, bad situation, bad everything. Imagine he comes in and does a good job in his twilight of his career and does a really, really decent job as his final year. I mean, these are great things from their players.
Austin Severin-Jenkins.
Probably not going to do anything. Has he ever done anything? I mean, he's got a golden opportunity. He has a golden opportunity.
He's another one that's doing strange things.
He'll end up in Dallas, I've no doubt. When Witten goes, you'll get him. He's perfect for your team.
Talented guy. Very
talented, super talented. Should be in trouble in the off-season in 2018.
It's interesting, like with... they drew the line at the panty sniffer. He actually got cut. Drive drunk, dab drugs, but, you start stealing panties and sniffing them, then,
It's over. That's the line you must not cross.
That's the line, yeah.
You must not pick anything off that line. There you go. So that's him gone. Yeah,
he's picking them off a washing line. That's the line he's picking them off.
Yeah, it's no good at all. So yeah, that's the way I see it. I think Severin-Jenkins, pen him in for 2018 Dallas football team. I think that's where he'll be next.
How many fantasy points should we pen him in for?
Not many, less than 50, 60 maybe.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, I'm being serious.
But they never use tight ends, so they might this year.
They might. How long will he be uninjured for?
No,
I gave him a brief spell for once in my life a couple of years ago out of desperation, and he looked absolutely abysmal. And that when he was supposedly healthy.
That's cheered me up.
I'm sure he did, but he didn't do anything for a long period. He wasn't even serviceable tight end numbers. That's saying something. I wasn't expecting a lot.
They've got to throw to somebody, haven't they?
You would expect.
What about Robbie Anderson? Robbie Anderson did alright.
He's got a chance. I mean, again, he's a player who has an opportunity to shine and maybe ends up with a better role going into 2018. I don't hold anything against. There's opportunity there for a player that comes up and seizes it this year, but they are going to be in a really lot of trouble. It's going to be a tough year ahead for them. They won't win many games. And you're right. At least the bar's so low, no one's expecting a lot. So even 4 or 5 wins is a result.
How much? Let's talk about someone like Isaiah Crowell, right? Okay, he's a very inconsistent player. So he had some really good weeks, like 20 plus, but he had some weeks of like 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Obviously, being a team like Cleveland, they're not going to get much chance to run in the fourth quarter probably because they're chasing the game most of the time. Does that affect his value?
Well, I think it does. I mean, I think one of the problems is you've highlighted the consistency, and the big issue for me is you have got to pay second round price in most league formats for him. And that's the 180 point
problem is
metrics.
After the 2 game week, he's lost you the game and you're mad and you drop him and then he gets 20. It's infuriating.
The big problem, exactly. The big problem for me is I've got to pay 180 point price for him, round 2, in any league format. And I've got questions of consistency. So the issue is exactly like you've highlighted. When do I play him? I have to play him every game, and the problem is the frustration will be weeks of very few points and weeks of high points. When you get it right, great. When you get it wrong, it's a disaster. And I hate players like that in fantasy.
Well, let's give you a off the cuff cut trade keep then. So the people going with him are, around him, running back wise, Marshawn Lynch, Carlos Hyde, Isaiah Crowell.
Well, I'm keeping Carlos Hyde in this situation. I'm going with the sure thing. It may not be great. There could be a camp battle and all that stuff could really work out.
You think could have more trade value?
Marshawn Lynch.
Even though Crowell's going high.
Yeah, Marshawn Lynch. People are buying into Marshawn Lynch being 100% back, so you'll get more value. Definitely.
I might buy into him.
Yeah.
He went for a bit of money last night.
I understand that. And, if he is back...
I'll tell you what, you get that decision right and he's back.
It's great. He's a 200-point player.
Yeah, so he is.
But this is the issue. This is always the issue.
But he is somebody that.
It's always the issue. It always seems so simple because you think, but you're paying a high premium for Marshawn Lynch in most league formats. It's a round 2 pick, and that's a huge pick. If it works, great. But what if I'm right? What if I've seen all the footage of Marshawn Lynch in practice. It all looks great. Yeah, it looks great. What if it isn't?
Lynch is 31, so...
Yeah, what if it isn't? What if he's lost more than a step? What if he's easy to bring down? What if?
Yeah, but he's not a pacey player anyway, just nuts big
He had a lot of issues hanging over him long before the injury at the end, and the Seattle Seahawks fans knew this as well. So he's now been out of the game a long time. I don't care.
I wouldn't be so quick to write him off.
I'm not.
But I am a big fan.
I'm not writing him off. It's just, can I afford to pay that price? I can't.
He's beast mode.
Yeah, I know I love him, but I can't.
Got beast mode. Look.
I'm just not doing it. I won't recommend it to anybody. There are other targets. Target them first. If beast mode falls into the third round, you've got a good decision to make.
He will fall. He's going 31 or something.
I'd take it if he fell into the third round in the league format. That's all right.
You would?
That's worth a shot. Third round is good value there. It's worth a shot.
That's where he's going.
That'd be all right.
Could be a round one player.
But most leagues, 12 man, 14 and 16, he's not in round 2. He's in round 2.
No, he's in round 3, 31, isn't he?
Yeah, but only for small leagues.
It's only 16. He'd be at the end of round 2.
Yeah, true.
And you're looking at Carlos Hyde, Sammy Watkins, Marshall Lynch.
I'd take a shot in round 3 if he was there in certain league sizes. Yes, I'd have a go there because it's a gambler's shot, and I'm not asking more. I'm looking at 160 there. That's more palatable. I may find a 160 player elsewhere if it goes wrong. I won't find a 180 or 200 easy anywhere else. It's hard to do.
Okay, well,
there we are.
I think people will be split on Lynch, so
yeah,
they will be takers.
Oh, there was last night.
It's a gambler's pick, I think.
It is. There was last night. I mean, and rightly so. I understand the risk and reward that come, and the thing is, I want to make sure if I'm going to put any risk in, I want them to pay off. I want them to be more. I want more of them to pay off. And
would you get Mixon above him?
Oh, that's dicey, isn't it?
That's why I asked you.
Yeah, I believe in Mixon's talent much more. The rookie's definitely got it. It's just when he starts, that's the key. So yeah, I would buy him a bit more.
Marshall Lynch definitely got it if he's 100%.
Yeah, but he wasn't. That's the problem. He wasn't. I saw
if he was something. Injured, he's over that now. So.
Yeah, I got to go with what I saw. What I saw for a prolonged period of time before the injury worries me. I'm not buying into it.
Okay,
I'll wait and see how it pans out for him. I hope he's back to full health. He'll probably blow onto the scene and prove that he's still Marshall Lynch, and that's great. Well done for those who've invested, but he could equally be the other way. That's what concerns me. I don't want to give that kind of advice.
Okay, well, if you're still listening, thank you very much. We really appreciate it.
Been a good week. Looking forward to it. It's closing in fast now, isn't it? Camps are just round the corner.
It is, yeah. Football's 6 or 7 weeks away.
Most people's drafts will be taking place any time over these next 6 weeks, and we've got a live draft. My one coming up very soon in 2 weeks' time, so that should be fascinating.
And if you need videos to help you out, check out the Thefanpub.com
And as always with these things, as Al will always say, you've got to like, share, comment and subscribe, please. We do need your comments and subscriptions. They really do help us.
Well, thanks very much for listening.
Thank you.